Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the World Illustration Awards Winner Interview Series. The World Illustration Awards are presented by the AOI in partnership with the Directory of Illustration, and we celebrate great illustration from around the globe. Today is the sixth interview in our series where we are interviewing amazing WIA 2025 winners. And today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Kehinde Owolawi, who is the New Talent Editorial category winner for WIA 2025. Hello, is it Kenny you prefer than Kehinde?
Yeah, everyone calls me Kenny, so that's Kenny's fine. Hi,
All right.
Ellen.
Well, can you start by telling us a bit about yourself and your illustration practice?
Okay. You mentioned, my name is Owolawi Kehinde. I'm mostly a designer, but I also ventured into illustration last year, like early last year. Last year was also the first time I did an editorial illustration or any commercial illustration projects for that matter. I've been a designer for about 8 years now. Mostly working in advertising, and then recently moved to editorial, where I now also had a chance to start doing editorial illustrations. I currently work for Archiving. We're a Nigerian non-profit that seeks to preserve Nigeria's history by scanning old newspapers. So usually my illustration works are they are for the editorial arm of archiving, where we try to make sense of some of these old newspaper stories in a modern format. And so I am usually tasked with coming up with the art direction for the stories and then the cover illustrations for them. So yeah, that's like a quick run through of me and my practice as a designer and illustrator.
Okay, so you've kind of segued from being a designer into editorial illustration, but you still do work for that organization. And so you do a bit of illustration and a bit of design work now when you work with
Yes. Yeah, generally design, brand design, illustration. I'm more like a mixed bag, to be honest. Just any way to express creativity and concepts, you'll find me there. So yeah.
Fantastic. That's really exciting and interesting to hear about. So this is what we love about the awards is that a lot of people enter the awards just to see what might happen. You don't know where it's going to go, but the fact that you hadn't even tried editorial illustration much before, and yet the project that you entered went on to be longlisted, shortlisted, and also the winner of your category. Can you explain why you decided to enter the awards originally?
Yes, yeah, so it's a bit of an interesting story. I've never applied for any award. Well, like personally, right? When I was in advertising, my company applied for awards for some design works I did, but I've never applied for any award. I'm not the kind of person to put my work out there. And so sometime last year, I was kind of like in a bind, like I should actually try and put more of myself out there. So I think I was scrolling through Pinterest one of those nights looking for references, and I saw a post that linked me to the World Illustration Awards website. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'd never heard of the World Illustration Award before that time. And the illustration I saw it on was a very beautiful illustration. That's why it caught my eye. I was like, okay, I just kept it aside. I'm like, I'll attend to this later. And then when I decided that, oh, I think it would be nice for me to, so I decided that I wanted to become the kind of person that applies for awards, because that's usually not something I do. I was like, oh, I saw this link somewhere. Let me try. And I went to read about the World Illustration Awards. I was like, oh, okay, let me give it a try. And yeah, I never expected to win eventually, because like as illustrators and even as creative people, we usually try to like personally downplay our work. We don't think it has that much of an impact. Even if the illustration I entered that eventually won, when we released the story that the illustration went along with, a lot of Nigerians, our audience, really resonated with the cover. And that's also why I decided to enter that particular illustration. But before then, I didn't think I would do it. It was just a thing of like, I just want to be the kind of person that applies for awards, right? So let me just let this be the first one. And then I applied, and then I got on the long lists, and I was like, okay, very interesting. Then the short list, I was like, oh, very intriguing. And then I was like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, even no matter how much my friends egged me on, but yeah, it was a very interesting experience just seeing like the updates of those different months when I get the updates that, oh, I got on to the next stage. And I remember the night that I actually saw that I won. I was in traffic and then I got home. I missed the announcement because I was in traffic. And then when I got home, I just went through YouTube to see. And I first missed my section, but I went back and I saw like, oh, I won. And then yeah, and I was like, oh, I won. And it was a very, very exciting moment. Yeah, I really didn't expect it at all.
That's so cool. I love that you just it was like such a surprise that you had to like quickly go back and look and then you
Yes,
found you were the winner. We had one of the other winners, Leanne Wrigley, she said it was like winning the Oscars of illustration when she found out.
yes,
Which is really lovely. So that's the lovely thing is we have an online award ceremony, so you can join from wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is.
yeah,
So I'm really glad that you could join in for that and find out there and then that you were the winner.
yes,
But that's such a lovely story. Thank you for sharing that. And interesting that you found it on Pinterest, actually. That's probably not somewhere we often talk about the awards, but we are very visible on Instagram and our website and newsletters.
yeah,
So good to know that that's where you found out about it and it piqued your interest.
yeah,
And exactly, it's that thing where you decided this was the year you were going to be someone that applies for awards, and
yep.
yet you actually went on to win it. So
What
it's always
exactly?
like these little decisions you make, you never know where they're going to take you.
Yeah, exactly. And it was also the first year of me doing editorial or even commercial illustration. So it
Yeah.
was totally unexpected. It's like, oh, okay. I did not know that it will lead to this. It was really just a character development thing that led to like
Yeah.
a real credibility, a source of credibility, like, oh, your work actually matters and your work is actually like credible. So
Absolutely. And we love the work that you've been sharing in your Instagram takeover today as well. That's given us a much bigger insight into who you are and what you do. So that's something our followers can check out on Instagram today.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it's certainly something that obviously captured our judges' imagination and really stood out as a piece. So that's obviously why it got through to the final stages, and was selected as the winner. So it's definitely something you should keep doing. And I'm really glad to hear that you are continuing with your illustration side of what you do.
yeah. Thank you.
Um, so your winning project, you told us you mentioned it was the cover of one of your issues of the organization that you work with. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, it was the cover of a story, an editorial story. So we were doing, can I explain what the story is
Yeah,
about?
please do.
Okay, so we're doing a story about, so like I said, we preserve Nigerian history. And so at this particular time, we were trying to look into brain drain in Nigeria, like how a lot of Nigerians get a degree and leave. And then we saw an old newspaper that had like a results list of the top students for the West African examinations, top 100 students. I was like, oh, let's do a story about this, right? And so I was tasked with the art direction and the cover illustration. And even then, I wasn't even sure I could pull it off. It was kind of like a thing of, oh, if you can pull it off, you can get someone. And I was like, okay, do you know what? I'll just give it a try. Like, I'll just give it a try. And yeah, and I think I was taking a walk one day. I kept because I like to like think about the ideas for a while. So for because I don't like to go with the first idea that comes to my head. So I was really thinking about it. I knew I wanted to do something that has to do with the classroom, but I didn't exactly know how to pull it off yet. I was like, I didn't just want to do a classroom. I wanted it to be something more. And as I was taking a walk, it sort of just clicked to me that the examination sheet also looks like a classroom view from the top. I was like, oh, like definitely that's what I'm going to do. So I remember the date it struck me. I was in the middle of my work and I felt like running home to just start illustrating, right? And then I did it, and I remember showing it to my boss and my colleagues. My boss was so excited, like he didn't, he also didn't think about it in that direction. It was like, oh wow, I'm very pleased. And so we knew that we had, and I also had a friend that I shared it with, and she's a very like, she likes to look at the nitty-gritty of things. And she when she figured it out, she was also pleased. And that's when I realized that okay, this is something we're definitely going to use. And then we used it, and then our audience really, really resonated with it. And people were breaking it down like a couple of days after we posted it online. And yeah, that's how I knew that oh, yeah, I had a strong piece of work here. And eventually, when I decided to apply for the awards, I was like, okay, that was one of the projects that I decided to apply with because obviously it was one of the strong ones. And when I was trying to apply, I remember discussing with a friend about which work to apply. And I had another work that was actually my favorite. But she was like, no, this is the one you must apply. I was like, and we kept on
Mm.
arguing about it. And she was like, hey, you know what? Go and ask your boss. And I went to ask him. I like, okay, just apply with the two, right? And eventually, the one that she wanted me to apply with, which is that's the one that won. So yeah, that was that was an interesting experience.
Well, it sounds like it definitely made an impact on people. Like your
Yes,
manager, he saw it, obviously had a quite a visceral reaction to it straight away as a concept. And then that's
yes,
really interesting that you took your friend's advice, because obviously it was good advice, that that was
yeah,
the strong project that really stood out, because it is
yes,
very visually impactful, and that's why it stood out to the judges as well. But that's the brilliant thing about illustration, is it can make such an impact so quickly, particularly with political or current affairs style of illustration. When it's trying to communicate those kinds of messages, it just
yeah,
communicates them so quickly and so with such
exactly.
impact. Fantastic. Um, so could you tell us a bit more about what did you enjoy about the process of being part of the long list and then the short list and also being a winner? Because it's been quite a long process. It's, you selected as the long list in May, so it's almost a year ago.
Yeah.
So talk us through the different stages and what you got from them.
Yeah, it was definitely very interesting. I remember during that period, I was also very busy at work, so I was like handling a couple of things, and so I didn't have the chance to follow it like nitty gritty. But I can remember always like seeing the announcement date. I'm like, oh, I got on this right. And one thing I really liked about it was getting to meet other very brilliant illustrators. Like I saw the works that were coming out on the long list. I was like, oh wow, like definitely. I don't even see how I'm going to win. Like these people are so good. Yeah, but I'm sure that I've been able to meet like other brilliant illustrators. I commented on some of their works. Some of them commented on my works. A bunch of people followed me, right, just from seeing my works on the long list and on your Instagram. That was definitely very interesting. Also just the idea that, like, for instance, Lisa Sheehan, who I know you already interviewed, she's someone that I've looked up to for a long time as an editorial illustrator. I've been following her for a while. She's kind of like I see as like, oh, she does 3D illustrations. I also do 3D illustrations. And I was like, I would like to do 3D editorial illustrations. So I've been following her for a long time. And I always saw it as like, wow, oh, Lisa Sheehan is like one of my North Stars for editorial illustration. And it was fun to see that when I won, she won the professional category of the same editorial illustration, which was also very validating for me. So yeah, that was fun. Just getting to meet a bunch of illustrators that I'd been following for a while, starting to follow me and like recognize my work. That was very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice to hear that you were very much aware of Lisa as well, and that's so nice that you
Yeah,
were both the winners for the category this year.
yeah,
Um, yeah, we've done an interview with her as well, so in this winner interview series, so you can go back and watch her interview and her thoughts on the awards. Even though she's a very well-established illustrator, she's been entering the awards for many years, and I think
yeah,
2025 was the first year that she won. So it goes to show you just don't know how long it's going to be. Sometimes it can be quite sudden, which it was for you. It was the first time you tried, and sometimes
yeah,
you got to just keep chipping away, and your time will come eventually. But that's really lovely to hear that you got so inspired by the other illustrators that you met as a result of the awards. It is an amazing selection of work every year, and it's so hard for our judges to like choose those final projects that are selected for the long list and short list. There are so many projects that could easily be included, but we can't choose everyone. But it does
yeah,
mean that, yeah, everyone who's involved, anyone that follows what we do, will see a beautiful selection of work that is always really inspiring. And it's also a really interesting reflection of the world today, and what illustrators are responding to across the world in all the different countries that people are entering from. So that's
yeah.
really, really good to hear. Um, so as a winner, obviously you work as a designer as well as an illustrator, but have you had an impact since the awards? Has it given you more confidence as an illustrator? Have you had more commissions, new clients, more social media followers, anything like that?
Definitely, I've definitely gotten more social media followers, and definitely it has also increased my confidence. I haven't had time to sort of capitalize on it on the win yet. I'm working towards that, trying to build out a more structured portfolio. But I know I definitely have the confidence now to reach out to people more because the award sort of gives me that sort of credibility. So whatever my brain might be telling me that, oh, you're not good enough, it's like, well, you're good enough for the judges, and your work was picked like among this global selection of beautiful work. So definitely I have that confidence to reach out to clients and say, oh, would you like to do editorial illustrations? I recently won this award. And like there's just that confidence that I have now that if anyone reaches out to me for illustrations, I know I can put it off. And I know that it will be a good product, like the output will actually be good. So that's definitely something for me. Definitely a lot of followers too. So what I noticed was that nowadays when I tend to get a lot of illustrators following me and art directors and even people like that have been following for a long time, popular illustrators have been following for a long time. I just one day I just see one of them following me on my page and they like my winning posts, which is also very exciting. Like that's not something that was happening before. So definitely has brought more eyes to my page. So yeah, definitely those are like some of the impacts that I've gotten from winning the illustration awards.
It's lovely to hear. I'm really glad that it's connecting you with lots of people, whether that's other illustrators or art directors, and it's giving you that confidence to put your work out there even more. That's always something that we recommend when, even if you get to the long list and shortlist stage, that's an opportunity to reach out to clients you'd love to work with, to tell them what's happened and explain, that in illustration, the World Illustration Awards is so well known now that if you do say that you've been involved with it, that you've been shortlisted, longlisted, or a winner, that it's a reason that people will sit up and take notice and listen to, and want to see your work for sure.
Yeah, also the global like impact of the awards. It also gives me the confidence to know that I don't need to only reach out to people in my sphere like Nigerians or in West Africa. I can also reach out to global bodies that need illustrations, right? There's just that confidence that comes with knowing that you won a global award. So I can reach out to someone in the UK, someone in the US, someone in South Africa, like where I know that, oh, okay, there is a high demand and high paying clients that want to pay for illustrations. So yeah, that's also like another aspect of the confidence level that's giving me.
Absolutely. And our judges are from all over the world as well. In each category, we try and have a broad mix of judges to look at the work. So we're not just having it from one perspective. So that
Yeah,
does mean that, yeah, if your work has been selected as the winner, it means that all three judges in your category, it really stood out to them, despite the different backgrounds that they'll have come from. So that's really
yeah.
good to hear. So I'm really glad to hear it's given you all that confidence and that you're putting your work out there even more. Um, so finally, one part of being a category winner is that you got a year's membership for the Association of Illustrators as a member. Can you tell us a bit about what you have experienced being a member of the AOI? Are there any resources or events that you've been involved with that found really helpful?
For the one I would say that has been most helpful is the pricing calculator. Um, I've always struggled with like figuring out how to price my creative work. There's not a thing that comes easily to me. I'm more focused on like just creating the work. And just having a resource like that on hand can sort of like give me an idea of how to charge for something. I also didn't even know about things like, say, for instance, um, say if a commissioner wants to print your illustration on a magazine cover, for instance, that can come with a different charge, right? Those are things I didn't know before that I've figured out because of the AOI membership, right? I've not used this yet, but I also know that one of the things I can do is also reach out to someone personally for advice. I haven't had a chance to use this resource yet, but that's also something that I'll find very useful in the future. But yeah, it has also like given me confidence to also increase my pricing when I'm speaking to clients. That's first of all, I have a global award at my back. Second of all, I kind of have like a way to figure out how to price for my work, depending on the scope of work and things like that.
That's such good news. I always love to hear when illustrators are increasing their prices. That's the best news because illustrators very often don't price their work high enough. They don't value their work enough. even though they should be charging more. So I'm really glad to hear that that is happening, and that's one of the benefits you've taken from your membership. That's really good.
Yeah.
So finally, I'd love to know, what advice would you give to anyone thinking of entering the World Illustration Awards this year?
Advice, first advice is just go for it because you never know what might happen. Even if um even if you don't think you might win, so it just like my case, right? Just the confidence boost that happens that you get from seeing your work beside other people's works, or just getting on the long lists or getting on the short lists, is enough to give you like a lot of boost in your career. The other things that I would say, like as advice, is I think one of the things that helped my projects, my work, was also the idea or the concept behind it. Like illustrators should also like try and focus on even just going beyond beautiful work, but also like the idea behind the work. That also is very, very useful, I think, to judges to just know that, okay, this work has like some depth to it, right? But yeah, like most important advice is just go for it. You never know what might happen. That's definitely what happened to me. It's actually my first time doing commercial work and also my first time as an editorial illustrator. So yeah, like definitely just go for it.
Absolutely. And that's what most of the other winners do say, is you just never know what's going to happen. So just go for it anyway.
Yeah,
Um, but thank you so much for sharing all of those insights. It's been fantastic talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
thank you very much.
And if people want to follow your work, we'll be sharing links in the caption for this video to follow your work and see your winning project on the World Illustration Awards website as well. And you
Okay.
can also still enter the awards until the 17th of February 2026, and follow us at the World Illustration Awards on Instagram as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and have
Yeah.
a nice day.